In the legal system of the United States, judges are the ones who decide the appropriate punishment for persons who have been found guilty of committing crimes. Although the vast majority of convicted criminals take their sentences with composure, there have been cases in which felons have retaliated against judges after being physically or verbally sentenced. The following are 10 examples of similar occurrences. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at when convicts explode in court. Yeah, you heard it right. Michael Farrow, then 36 years old, was found guilty of first-degree murder of a law enforcement officer in 2012 and was given a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of release. Farrow became outraged as the judge read the sentence and attempted to attack the judge by jumping over the defense table and making a grab for him. Court officers soon took control of him and restrained him. In 2017, a man called Jorge Portosierra was found guilty of multiple offenses, including attempted murder, armed robbery, and other offenses, and he was sentenced to 165 years in jail. At the very moment when the court was announcing the punishment, Portosierra jumped up from his chair and attempted to strike the judge with a pen. He was hauled into arrest after being tackled by the officers of court. A man called Robert E. Lee was found guilty of aggravated assault with a dangerous weapon in 2010 and received a sentence of 10 years in prison. Lee hurled profanities at the judge after he handed down the punishment, and then he made a move towards the judge. Court officers were forced to restrain him, and he was later charged with contempt of court. In 2018, a guy called Terrell Woods was found guilty of shooting a law enforcement officer and given a sentence of 60 years in prison. Woods jumped up, began ranting, and then hurled a chair at the judge as he was announcing the sentence. Woods was ultimately sentenced to time served. Court police were able to subdue him, and he was later charged with assault. In 2011, a man called Marcel Dockery was found guilty of starting a fire that resulted in the death of a New York City police officer and was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. After the judge had announced the punishment, Dockery began to yell profanities at him and then proceeded to throw a fit in the courtroom. A guy called Jerome Power was found guilty of sexually assaulting a kid in 2014 and was given a sentence of 10 years in jail. After the judge had finished pronouncing his punishment, Power sprang up and began ranting, and then he punched the judge in the face. Court officers were required to hold him before he could be charged with assault. Calvin Carter was given a sentence of 65 years in prison in 2015 for his role in the shooting deaths of 2 police officers. Carter yelled profanities at the judge as he was reading the punishment, and then he hurled a chair at the judge as he was reading the sentence. Court officers were required to hold him before he could be charged with assault. In 2016, a guy called John Vaught was found guilty of armed robbery and received a sentence of 30 years in prison. Vaught, who had become agitated by the time that the judge had finished reading the sentence, hurled a chair at the judge and began yelling at him. Court officers were required to hold him before he could be charged with assault. A man named Ciali Angelou was convicted of racketeering and other offenses in 2013 and given a sentence of 25 years in jail as a result of his actions. Angelou jumped out from his chair as the judge was announcing the sentence and charged at the witness stand while holding a pen. In the courtroom, a United States Marshal took out the suspect with a gunshot and ended his life. In 2017, a guy called Stephen Darnell Robinson was found guilty of the murder of a woman and received a sentence of 45 years in prison for his crime. Robinson began to shout as the judge read the verdict, and then he flung a cup of water at the magistrate who had handed down the penalty. Court officers were forced to restrain him, and he was later charged with contempt of court. In each of these cases, it is abundantly evident that the inmates were dissatisfied with the sentences they were given, and some of them took their anger out on the judges who were responsible for handing down those punishments. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so that you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.